IPO is a significant milestone in any company's journey. Today, promoters are literally the face of the company. So identifying promoters is one of the key milestones for a company looking to do an IPO. How do you categorize founders in an IPO world? There are multiple options today depending on the capital structure, depending on the shareholding pattern, depending on the rights the investors and the founders have today. Once you've identified promoters, the next key milestone is how do you identify promoter group? The challenge lies in identifying how big is the universe of promoter group. So one of the key things the founder should think about is ensure the individuals and the corporate entities who form part of promoter group are fair, true and accurate. If you have not identified all entities, then you will need specific dispensation from the regulator. Once the promoter and promoter group are identified, the next key factor that the founder should think about is freezing cap table. There are different instruments a company has. There are equity shares, there are preference shares, there are warrants, there are ESOPs, MSOPs. However, from an IPO standpoint, there can only be certain kinds of instruments that can be there in a cap table when a founder is looking at an IPO. Specifically under the SEBI framework, at the time you're filing the draft red herring prospectus, you can only have equity shares, compulsorily convertible instruments, and ESOPs that survive the RHP. What that means is any other instruments, whether it's warrants, whether it's optionally convertible, all of these have to be cleaned up so that the company is IPO ready. Another important factor a founder should think about is what is called as a pre-IPO placement. Sometimes companies do look at a pre-IPO primary round of investment in the company prior to filing of the draft red herring to test the waters, to get a sense of investor appetite, to get a sense of what the valuation of the company could potentially be. At this stage, few factors to bear in mind. What are the kind of investors that are coming on the cap table? What is the valuation at which the pre-IPO placement is done? Can that be a valuation linked to IPO valuation? The other option of doing a pre-IPO placement is between the draft red herring prospectus and the red herring. At this stage, you want to do a pre-IPO placement to get a marquee investor on your cap table, and it could also have a bearing on the IPO valuation because that round is happening very close to your IPO itself. The next critical and important aspect the founder should think about is having a war team ready before he starts the IPO. What does that mean? A founder should ensure that there is a good, focused secretarial team, experienced legal team, and an experienced finance team. A good mix of internal team members, in addition to the right set of external consultants, is a recipe for a good IPO. One can never time the market, but once the company has the right governance, compliance, and finance structure in place, I think probably that's when it's the right time to press the button for an IPO.